Stephon Sanders was on crutches. He told me he's out for the whole spring.
Yep.
Okay. Deion Sanders?
Shoulder operation,
All spring?
Yep.
Hayden Greenbauer. You going to see him at all this spring?
Nope.
Talk a little about Steve Broussard. Your past relationship with him, how he ended up here, what you like about him as a coach.
We drafted Steve in the first round when I was with the Falcons, and he was a very, very productive player for us. I think he went on after 3 or 4 years in Atlanta. He went to Seattle, had another 3 or 4 years, but he understands what we're doing, knows what we're doing, and he's a good coach.
Was he going to hire anybody else? Or, I mean, not hire, but bring any graduate assistants or anything?
Oh, no, we have to hire some, but we can't until the end of the semester. But we'll have probably three coming.
Looked like there were some guys working at new positions today. Jerry Sienna, now on defense?
Yes, he's been working at nose tackle all offseason.
Was that because of something you saw in him, or just the numbers dictated?
He wants to play there.
Nick Reed at the end of the year played a little running back. Is he running back or defense?
Nose, yeah.
Quarterbacks?
Corner or quarters?
Quarters.
Quarterbacks?
Quarterback.
Yeah.
How do you go? I mean,
well, they'll give them kind of all the same number of reps right now. But, I want to get a good look at, kind of know what Neil is, but he's obviously going to be the leader right now. But Connor and Colney Castle, I want to get a good look at. Connor hasn't been out here because of his arm. And Colney's had a year. This is kind of where you kind of step forward now, get a spring and a summer. So hopefully we get a good look at him.
I mean, nothing against Neil, but I mean, is this more competition, you think? Is there a decent amount of competition for
it's kind of, I think, just really the last couple of years have been, settled with Garrett being kind of the guy. So everybody's been kind of waiting for their turn. And that's just kind of the progression as it goes. I mean, the previous years it was pretty wide open, even though like Kyle Padron had a little bit of a head start on JJ, but they took a lot of the same reps, and by the end of that time, JJ slid up there a little bit.
Given the unusual nature of Connor's circulation issue, I guess, are you surprised that he's back at all? Did you know that he'd be back in a year?
Well, we talked about at the end of the season that we thought he was going to be able to give it a try this spring. They kind of found out a little bit more about what it was, and he's feeling okay, so we're going to test it out pretty good.
Colin Lagasse was standing out watching. What's his...
Yeah, he had an injury too.
Okay.
Anything else, guys?
Anything from a physical standpoint? Any surprises? Big guys?
I liked, it's too early to tell, but I really like the athleticism of Bo. I can't say his last name. But he looks the part. And I liked what I saw of the Barnes kid just moving around and stuff. He looks pretty nimble. And let's see who else was new out there. Prescott looked a year older, kind of looked like Zach to me. Sid caught my eye, just explosion-wise receiver.
Jared Spencer at offensive line, what prompted the move there? Just numbers or size or?
I told him 2 years ago he should be an offensive lineman, and he's just gotten on the field on defense, so if he wants to play, he's got to get on the field. But he's got to trust me, he's got long arms, and he's the body as an offensive lineman.
Pittsburgh canceled their spring game and decided to just have another practice. Mm-hmm. Do you think that's going to become more of a trend,
Well, I think everybody's figuring out what we've been kind of saying forever, that a spring game is overrated, just get people hurt. They don't have enough bodies, just like we don't have enough bodies. So, if you're Alabama or if you're Florida or something, you got 150 guys. It's a little different than when you got 80.
Ben Hughes was listed as a junior on the roster last year, not out here today. Did he graduate?
Yes, he's not playing football. He's going to be on the field helping us, but he's not going to be participating.
What do you hope to get out of what does a coach hope to get out of spring workouts? I mean, when all is said and done.
Well, you hope to get everybody on the same page, and the quarterbacks can take a little leadership role and getting, singling out who that guy is right now. I think it's more mental for me right now that everybody learns their job, what they're supposed to do, and the fundamentals of tackling, of getting, doing things right, getting the right shoulder, right foot, all that kind of stuff. It's more technique stuff than anything else for me.
Darian Richardson, Shaquille Randolph, Miles Crosby all look much bigger, much stronger.
Yeah, they're pretty good. And 20. What's his name?
AJ Justice.
Yeah, AJ looks very good too. 20. I knew it was 20. he really came on at the end of last season, and I'm excited to see him play because he's a hitter. He's kind of like Darian. He's real physical, and they both kind of play the game of football like you're supposed to play. So I'm kind of excited to look at him this spring. And Hayden unfortunately isn't out here, but that gives us a chance to look at the other guys.
It's a long way off. But when you look at this team, is there anything that characterizes it? Is there anything that's different than, say, last year's team?
Well, I think we're way more athletic than, and I think once we get the freshmen in here, we got a good group of young guys that are very athletic and are going to look like a different, physically in the back end and at a receiver than we've looked at, We're a little thin at receiver right now, but once we get the freshmen in, we think we got a good group of kids, and we'll have, 14 or 15 kids that are pretty good.
2 more guys.
You had 15 or 16 DBs out there. Is that suddenly one of the position of strength, position of depth, just because of the raw numbers?
Well, they got to step up and prove that they can do it. I mean, athletically, like I said, we're better. Horace played a little bit last year. 24's got to turn it up and go, but athletically we're a lot better at corner, running and doing those kind of things. So we'll see. But AJ and Shaquille and those guys, Darian, I'm excited for them to get their reps.
You mentioned Jerry Sienna moving over to nose. Played both in high school, if I remember right. Was there any thought by you or your staff about putting him on defense right away?
Well, he wanted to, but if he wants to just be another guy, he can play defense, or he can be a first-round pick and play offense. That was my.
So you'd like to keep him at offense?
I like to keep him offense, but I don't ever want kids to play what they don't want to play. So that's why I'm moving.
5 or 6 deep now at nose, aren't you? With Darian and Nick Reed and Spencer Holly.
Yes and no. I think he's a little different guy in there.